Okay, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be hearing from Andrew Gospel. He's going to be teaching us about campaigning and social media. He is a founding partner at 475 Consulting Group and has been working in digital media and communications since 2010. He's been working with Democratic campaigns and DTCs since 2015. He has a passion for politics combined with analytics and production, which led him to start a firm that focuses on campaign requirements in the modern era. If you have any questions, please feel free to either raise your hand or use the chat, and we will call on you as we go. Andrew, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thanks, Joan. And am I correct in saying there's only an additional 4 of us on here?
I see 7.
Okay. To be honest, that's a small enough group, guys, that if you have I tend to move really quickly. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself. Joanne, they're able to do that, correct?
Yes, I can.
Oh yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and just interrupt. Because else, if you let me keep going, it'll be 45 minutes later and we won't have the good opportunity to answer that question anymore.
I'll also be watching the chat, and I'll be watching for the raised hands also.
Perfect. Thank you, Joanne. Hey guys, like Joanne said, 475 focuses on something we call content operations, which is basically everything from your first logo to your digital video ads that you'll be running online. We've seen an exponential increase in the amount of media that a campaign needs to produce over the course of a campaign, especially in like the last decade as social media and new digital channels have become available. And that obviously raises its own set of hurdles and new processes and systems that are required to handle that. Today, though, is that was the last class was for the ones of you who were on that 2 weeks ago. I hope that was helpful. This is more of a deep dive onto social media, though. And also, I just want to let everybody know, if you weren't on my last class, we are currently doing a special election in Newtown and Monroe for Nick Kapoor. And if you did want to learn more about campaigns, the best way to learn is actually to get involved. So please go over to nickforct.com, fill out a volunteer form. We'll see that come in, and I can get you guys access to like the core team meetings that happen every week. So you can actually kind of go behind the scenes, see the nuts and bolts of how a campaign's run, get a deeper understanding. And I believe we have a couple people on here who've already done that from last class. And so thank you for one, volunteering, and just, participating in the process. And just a couple of vocabulary pieces before we start. Reach is the total number of individuals who have encountered a piece of content, which is a little bit different than an impression or a view, which refers to the total number of times a piece of content has been viewed. And then finally, engagement as measured by social platforms is any interactions with a piece of content. That involves commenting, liking, clicking one of the little emojis that Facebook has now added, sharing, or even, for instance, on a video, turning the audio on, or in a group of photographs, clicking through to see other photographs. So like you guys think familiar in Facebook when there's like 4 or more, they'll give you just the first couple in small little boxes and you click to see more. That counts as an engagement as well. And so basically what we have a situation here now where social media is just no longer optional for campaigns. Even I would say small municipal campaigns where the benefits of being on social media and the freedom to use these platforms far outweighs the extra energy required to tackle those challenges. Most of these platforms, when we talk about things like organic reach, are free to use and participate in without having to buy advertising space. And it's a great way to get recognition and brand awareness for the campaign. One of the reasons for this is just that people can consume so much media these days. So what we have here is Q3 2018 data, I believe, from Nielsen, which shows by age demo how much media people consume a day. Now, media means radio, TV, internet on a computer, smartphone, tablet. time shifted, so recorded TV. But the average US adult consumes 10 and a half hours of media, and I'm sure that has increased in the time of COVID. Even people in the 65 plus age group, these two bars over here to the right, doesn't want me to click. These two bars over here to the left, they consume even more, an average of 11 hours and 43 minutes a day, which includes just about 2 hours of internet time. An hour and 38 on a smartphone, another 21 minutes on average on a computer. And so the point of social media is twofold. One is obviously to engage these individuals, these potential constituents or voters. And the other is to amplify and amplify your fieldwork is basically, so anything that you guys are doing in the campaign, whether it's hosting an event or putting up signs or opening up an HQ, document that process and use social media as a way to then let people know about the activities of a campaign and have them get involved in another way without having to either physically be there or something that they otherwise would have missed because they weren't participating in that feature. We're also going to talk about creating a media schedule a little bit later. That's going to make this job a lot easier for you. Just again, to reinforce how essential social media is now. This is the latest data we kind of have access to, but February 2019, this is from Pew Research, 72% of all US adults use at least one social media site. Within that breakdown, the lowest group, this is by age demo, the lowest participation rate is at 65 plus, but they're still at 40% already as of over a year ago. If you go to 18 to 29, we're at 90. Even 50 to 64-year-olds, which is your prime voting demos, to be honest, are at 70% now. And then in terms of popularity of the different channels, we're going to talk a little bit about the ones you guys want to use. YouTube is a channel that people don't consider social media, but it definitely is. It leads the pack in terms of penetration. And then Facebook is the one just under that. And then Instagram is the third one down, still trailing quite a bit. But specifically for Connecticut and our region, I would expect that number to be much higher, approaching or if not crossing the 50% mark. It seems that trends with different socioeconomic trends have Instagram higher in the higher end class. So I would say, for instance, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Instagram is going to be another key channel for you. So getting started. Obviously, you have to build the road before you can drive on it. Do we have a question?
Yep, we have a question asking about TikTok.
So I had a slide in my other one, and I don't know if I have it in this one, addressing TikTok, is that TikTok is coming. I don't know if it's here yet because right now the user demos are so young and doesn't have higher penetration upon voting age individuals. But if I had to guess, every presidential and congressional campaign will have a TikTok this cycle, or so congressional will be 2022. Definitely next presidential. For municipals, it's harder to judge when we should be switching into that. I would say it's early now. You're just not going to get enough penetration. On the other hand, it is also kind of a duplication of content feature. So my advice to people who to use platforms is that if you're creating content on one platform that can be easily duplicated to another, your opportunity cost is so low, you might as well do that. So if you want to use TikTok now and you're prepared to put in the time and the effort for say like a selectman race, something like that, go for it. You're going to be creating video content for Instagram and Facebook. And if it's easily, you can post it to that platform as well. I say, why not? That said, I don't think it's an essential platform yet. It doesn't have the penetration rate or the number of potential voters on it yet, but it will be here soon. I would say that in 2014, 16, people were saying, oh, I'm not going to bother using Instagram. And by 2018, if you weren't, you were behind. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Back to digital infrastructure though, before you get your social for set up, you should obviously be looking to get your logos and your font pack and your color palette, your design theme all set up. Make sure, excuse me. Make sure you have your domain registered, your email and your drive system set up in your website. You're doing fundraising, and so social for is kind of the end of your initial digital infrastructure setup process. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And again, if you wanted to throw another platform like Snapchat or TikTok in there because it's duplication of content, feel free. But we feel right now that these are the essential four. There is one standout in terms of, or actually, I think we're gonna get to that in a second. So let me switch over. Oh, I have the chat open. Oh, see, yeah, TikTok is coming. Be afraid. It is in the slide. I would say one of the important things is to get your web domain linked to your social channels when you're setting them up, with one exception. So I'm going to go over that real quick. Let me just open up the slide. So here's Nick Kapoor's campaign website, and if you see, it is nickforct.com. And now if we go to Facebook, we go to Nick Kapoor for state rep. It is also Nick for CT. If you go to his Instagram, it is Nick for CT. His Twitter, sorry, not his Twitter, his YouTube, it should be Nick for CT, and any TikToker at Snapchat. The one exception to that is Twitter, where Twitter, we now don't advise you create campaign-specific accounts. We recommend you maintain that as an individual aspect. So the individual candidates' Twitter should be the channel that you use moving forward. It's just not worth the time or the effort to try to create campaign-specific Twitter accounts. You don't get a following. It's it's not cost or time effective. Also, if you guys want to know how to set up any of these individual accounts, there's an additional resources page at the end of this. I'll drop this into the Dropbox for everybody to see, in which you click on videos that we've created or links to training from the individual channels that will tell you how to set these up for individual campaigns. Like Facebook, we have, I think, a 10-minute video that walks you through every step of the process that we put on for you guys. When it first comes to posting on social media, I think it can be really daunting to, how to start or what to post. I think that you guys should be focusing on the candidate and local campaign events, also including any, obviously national news stories that are important for you guys to recognize. But the first thing is make a calendar. Make a calendar and schedule 3 what we would call evergreen or planned events ahead of time. So what a normal campaign will do is the weekend before, it'll have a little G sheet or Excel sheet. Well, they'll plan out 3 posts with an image, some copy, or a plan for a video, or a plan for a link to a website who's put out a good article on some data that's pertinent to their constituents. And it used to be that we had to, put those all in a spreadsheet and just wait until the day to post them. Now Facebook has Creator Studio. Creator Studio is an amazing tool that now takes the spot of what used to be the livelihood of things like Social Sprout and Hootsuite, where you can post and schedule content across platforms, Instagram and Facebook, so across platforms in advance. So now campaigns will go on Sunday. They'll get their copy, their links, their pictures that they want to put up for those 3 early morning posts, and they will schedule them on Sunday, and then it's forget about it until next weekend. And that gives you kind of a base of activity that people can engage with. After that, I think it's important to try to aim, especially as the campaign gets into its final couple months, say like September, October, to be posting more like once a day. And so what you do is you keep your original 3 posts a week timeline that you plan in advance, but then let the candidate or the social media manager, if your campaign has one, fill in those extra posts. And we recommend video for reasons that we're going to get into later, where the candidate is talking about things that are going on either locally or nationally, or about campaign specific events. Oh, we're having a fundraising event this weekend. It was so awesome to see everybody come out. So much support. Here I am meeting with a Jim Himes or a Johanna Hayes or a Susan Beisowitz, those type of things. Or even just more mundane stuff. A lot of times people like social media because social media acts as a platform not only to get out traditional branded material, but also as kind of a little bit of a veil behind the unveil behind the curtain. You know, if there's a big snowstorm, you know, and it's been hard getting your kids into school, or if there has been, you know, people have posted this last year about the difficulties they're having with COVID and masks and stuff like that. Really let people get to know the candidate as an individual and use video posts on your social media platforms as a mechanism to achieve that. We're going to talk a little bit about how you should post video and how you can make those more easily in a little bit. And the other part I want to show you guys is it's really important to for the post that you do plan, and don't forget anything like those video posts I was talking about, you can always record them ahead of time and then plan them for the next day, is the best time to get engagement on these platforms is schedule early, like 6 a.m. One of the reasons for that is here. Let me go back to our web browser that I had open. If I can find it. Did I close it? We'll just open up another one. Oh, there it is. Perfect. All right, so this is just Fairfield DTC's insight page. You can get to this. You can always see your insights on any page by that you're a member of by going to Insights. And this is full of great data that now aggregates both your Facebook and Instagram presence into one place. And if we go to post engagement, it gives us this great graph of when our users are online. So just keep in mind, this is always in Pacific time because Facebook's based in California, which is a little bit annoying, but basically this is actually 6 a.m., not 3 a.m. And so because Facebook obviously has an algorithm where posts have a natural kind of 24-hour life cycle, depending on how much engagement a post gets early will dictate how much engagement a post will get later. And so you're looking to do is capture as much engagement first thing. So the last thing you want to do is post something at 2 in the morning, because for the next 4 or 5 hours, it's not going to get anything until people start to wake up. And as people start to wake up, oh, okay, well now it's getting some more traction. Now we're going to push it into some more news feeds, but you only have a couple hours left until the inherent cycle of the post is over. So it's not going to go as far. So we definitely recommend scheduling all planned posts for early in the morning around 6 a.m. just as people start to wake up, and you capture those early high engagement users who, and I know I can be one of these at times, but the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is pick up my phone and check my news or check my social media if I have any notifications, and either engage or participate in that process. Let's go back to our slideshow. When it comes to different platforms, and obviously now we have stories as well, which makes things more complicated. So like I said, post at least 3 times a week for Facebook and Instagram. I would say this applies to as well with scheduled posts. Add to that and try to build up so you're posting once a day by the end of the campaign. Try not to stack posts. What that means is, like, say if you post something really good at 9 a.m., don't post something at 11, because now Facebook algorithm has to choose which of those 2 pieces of content to push to somebody's newsfeed. So both are going to be hurt by that, what we call stacking too close together. Don't get me wrong. If something happens, if you have a scheduled post at 6 a.m., something really important happens that day and you want to post out a video update, in the afternoon, do it. Don't stop, but just don't plan on oh, we're going to have one post go at 6 and then we're going to post another thing at 10. That's just hurting yourself. And then with stories now, I'd say, which can go to push to both Facebook and Instagram, use them as much as you want. If you have a candidate who will post 20 story updates a day, do it. They will, the engagement will be great. Stories are looked on as in a different way, where people have to go to like kind of a separate channel to process that. And don't feel like it's going to hurt you if you have an important video coming out at 6 a.m. and they're posting stories on later in the day. And I think it's important that people understand the difference between traditional posts and story updates. Does everybody feel comfortable kind of with the differential between those two? Maggie, do you know what the difference is? Calling Maggie out because I know.
Okay, we have a question from Eileen.
Go
Please
for it.
explain about stories.
Okay.
I am listening. I was looking for my unmute.
That's all right. Yeah, so stories are, let's go back to Facebook regular. Take a look real quick. I can never seem to find it over here. All right, let's grab new tab over, bring it over here. Seems to work for me. Okay, so it's going to be hard for me to show this on a traditional computer. Let me stop sharing for a second. And hopefully now I am big in everybody's screen. Correct? Can somebody just confirm that for me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Sorry. Eric, just got a text message from Eric. Eric is the Newtown DTC chair. So basically now this is going to be a weird way to share this, but basically now on your Facebook news feed, you have two different ways to interact with posts. This top bar that goes across the top are stories that people do, and they're daily updates that only last 24 hours, kind of a copy Snapchat. And now Instagram obviously has the same thing feature, where you can click on them and they are timed little short updates. So this is Jen Leeper's updates of the day. I can click to skip to the next one, or automatically just times out very quickly. These are quick, fast, consumable pieces of content. And again, she's just informing you about her day, about her work as a state rep, and what's going on today. And so stories is consumed differently than when you say make a traditional post. So if I scroll, oh, I meant to scroll, but that's a nice suit that guy's got on, is consumed differently than your traditional news feed, which is your traditional posts, your links, here's a photo album from somebody, here's a video. And so these are longer form pieces of content, photo albums, status updates, longer videos, links to news websites where you get the, not only is it better for longer form content, but you also get the engagement below where people are able to like and have conversations underneath in chat. Stories, you're not able to have those conversations underneath. And there's two obviously ways to create different posts. So if I was on the app, this one right here at the top, where I click into it, is to create a regular post. And I can upload a video, I can write whatever I want, and I can post it obviously to my newsfeed. Below where it says right there, click a story, is where I create a story. So right now, say if I wanted to, I can click that button, create a story. It asks me if I want to select a picture or take one. I can take a picture of me right now sitting at a messy desk with a big ring light on my face and share the story. Share to Facebook and Instagram, so it goes out to both at the same time because the accounts are linked. And I'm going to click always share to both. And you can always write things on it. You can add pictures, you can edit the photos and stuff like that to make it more engaging. So add some text. I just want to do this quickly though. And so now I have a story up that will run for the next 24 hours. If I click on that, there's my rather boring story of my cluttered desk. Does that explain the question?
Yeah. Andrew, could you just give an example of someone who's doing this well? I'm looking on Facebook while I'm in this.
Jen Leeper, 100%.
Jen Leeper. Got it.
She crushes stories.
Crushes it. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to friend her. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Quick question about stories when compared to posts. does Facebook's algorithm favor stories and promoting stories over posts or posts over stories? Or is it you're going to be reaching the same amount of people or the same?
No, I would say they actually have it's funny, stories and posts, even though they're on the same platform, have two completely different distribution channels because of stories you have to click in to watch stories, whereas posts you have to scroll to read posts. And so actually we find it's different users prefer different things. Older users tend to prefer posts. Slightly younger users tend to prefer stories. Stories are more popular on Instagram than the traditional news feed is, where on Facebook it's the other way around. News feed is more popular than stories are. I think you have to just look at it as two slightly different ways to reach the same overall audience, but different people within that audience will engage different ways. Does that make sense?
So they're both going to get promoted equally by Facebook, but the type of people who would inevitably get it are going to be different sorts of people because they have different habits.
No, in terms of quantity, posts will go further.
Okay.
Posts definitely have the ability. So if a post has real popularity and shows real engagement, because again, posts, as we said, has the ability to garner more engagement. You don't have the opportunity to comment or to share stories like you do in posts. So if you have posted a video, and we do this all the time in a campaign where it gets, 37 shares and 150 likes, and there are 47 comments underneath, that will get shown to thousands and thousands of people. Well, stories is more like an update for the people who have chosen to follow. So I would say stories is more of an in-network type of communication to let people know you better and to keep up with the campaign, whereas posts have potentially a broader reach.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna skip on to the next. And then
we have a question. Is it common to duplicate a story and a post to reach different audiences?
I would not do that now because they're on the same platform. I would actually, I kind of take that back. Say if you have a campaign event where it's like, hey, our new lawn signs just come in, come get one. Yeah, post on both. I would not do that regularly, but I think a couple ones off where you have something important, that's absolutely fine. I would keep it, 15% or less for only the more important issues. But generally, you don't want to just be a straight duplication. There's slightly different purposes. Plus, there's different restrictions on what you can, obviously. Stories tend to be vertical. They're obviously 16 by 9, but this way. So pictures are formatted differently and stuff. So you're going to see, as you start using the tools, slightly the differences in between creating content for each. The other thing I want to say is that obviously anything you post as normal post to Facebook or Instagram in terms of video, duplicate to any other channels you might want to use, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat. YouTube, even though it is the most highest reach of any social media channel, is actually not for your updates, because to gain a following on YouTube is incredibly difficult, and anything under a congressional, like US congressional race, I'd say it's not worth using in that manner. It is really so that you can put your edited content, as in your higher production level video content on there, so that you can use it in advertising or people can link to it and share it from there. It's more of a hub than it is a distribution channel. Let's see what we got next. We're going to go into, so I actually have some data from 4 campaigns from this last cycle on social media. I don't think I did a great job explaining it last time, but we're going to provide you guys with the tools to understand kind of what these numbers mean in a giant spreadsheet we're going to show later. Showing that with what we said about how much media people are now consuming, this is more of a numbers game now. It's about brand recognition. It's about getting people familiar with your candidate, and giving them reasons to vote. And so with so much noise basically coming through, you want your signal to break through to those individuals. And the way to do that is through numbers, which is why in a what we call an integrated campaign, we're using different forms of digital display, video ads, social media ads.
Can you share your screen?
Oh, did I not share my screen? Sorry, guys. Forgot I stopped for a second. So don't expect these things to make sense now, but we're going to get to that again in a couple minutes. And if you have any questions, ask them then. All right, so first part of this is reach analysis. And so this is organic data from 2018 from the Newtown DTC. I was not posting for Newtown, just Eric was nice enough to download all their data and give it to me so that I could use this as an example. And what we're seeing here is for all of, there are 5 different types of posts that you can do on Facebook, but these are for their link posts. So the ones where you link to, like, the Washington Post or the Hartford Current article. This is how many people saw the Newtown DTC's post of that type in 2018 on average. So their average link post was seen in total by just over 140 people. The blue bar section of this is what we call your network reach. So that's people who have already liked the Newtown DTC page or followed them, for instance, on Instagram. And the orange bar is outside reach. So that's people who have not already liked the DTC Facebook or Instagram page, but because of the variables associated with them, because of how much engagement the post got, because of their geographic location and who their friends are, and their interests that Facebook obviously and Instagram measure. From now on, when I say Facebook, I mean Facebook and Instagram. They're the same company. We can kind of think of them as one entity now. So unless I specify only Facebook, it just means both. So because of those variables, Facebook has chosen to show that post to 30 people that don't like those channels, but they think they'd be interested in for whatever reason the algorithm chooses. Does that make sense? Do people understand the difference between the blue and the orange section and how that's together that averages the total reach of a link post?
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Okay. So now what we're going to look at is, this is the Fairfield DTC 2018 Facebook post data. And like I said, there's 5 different types of posts you can make. A video post, a status update, which is just text only. It's when you don't attach a video or include a link. You just write simple text. A shared video, which is when you share a video onto your page from another page. So say, like, Now This or HTN or, CNN put out a great video on their Facebook page and you share it to your page. Then there's photos, which are obviously can simply be anything from one photo you post with a little bit of text to a whole photo album with text attached. And then there's the link post, which we already described, which is a link to any news article or other web page where I think you guys notice when a link posts up, Facebook auto-populates that link. So there's a little image and the title below that people are able to click into if they want to, along with your text above. And what this basically shows is that video is the most powerful tool you have to reach outside your network. I think it's important. I usually have it on here, but it's not. This is all organic reach, which means this is not paid at all. This is all the inherent natural reach, unpaid reach that posts get. We can see video not only does better within your network, but exponentially better outside of your network. So those key areas, those key people who live close geographically, who have the same friends of the people who are already in your network, which obviously, say if you're a DTC or a campaign, are going to be the people that live in the surrounding neighborhoods that you're trying to reach. Facebook algorithm will choose to show video to them much more likely than any other type of posts. And in fact, it's our experience that 2 types of posts actually hurt your engagement: status updates and shared video, because they're just not that engaging a form of content. Well, status updates aren't. Shared video, it's a different reason. Shared video is because Facebook realizes that video content is hard to create. It's not easy. And so they don't want to give your page the benefit of somebody else's work. So if you create your own video content, it will give you a large boost for posting that. It's not going to do the same if you share that from somebody else's page. It's actually kind of going to hurt you because Facebook uses, I'm sorry, one second. My brother just walked in. Ben, I'm teaching a class, just try to be quiet. So like I said, shared video is not going to be pushed as further because they don't want to give you the benefit of the work that other people have done. Whereas photos and links do better within your network and also do quite well outside of your network. It's not always possible to do videos, but do it as often as you can. And then within this video group, we also have not just videos that were produced, like, a campaign video or, kind of like an advertisement, but also like hour-long streams of debates or events. And so actually what we see when we do produce videos, so we did a series of 4 test videos in 2018 for Fairfield, where we produced content that was 2 minutes long, high production values. And what we saw is that reached thousands of people. So here we see, the average video reached, 1,600 people or so. Lightwire videos, the produced content, reached 500 people in the network, and then over 4,000 each for the other. Sorry, one second. Excuse me, Ben. Thank you. And so, like we said, we don't think that status updates and shared video are actually good to include. Facebook uses a trailing average to decide how far to push your future content to. So for instance, if you have more video content, Facebook sees how well your previous piece did, and then uses that information to decide how many more people to push that social media content to the next time you post something. And so for Kate Neary Maxim's campaign, a probate judge in Fairfield for 2018, we got rid of status updates and shared videos completely. Really heavily emphasized video average. And so we were able to push these ratios even farther than, say, we were able to see on the last page in Fairfield DTC. And we also found that by doing that, we're able to increase the outside reach of your photo and link posts as well. And so not only by cutting out those 2 posts and focusing on video, we're able to increase the reach that they had and decrease the effort putting into bad posts, but actually we're able to have a residual benefit to your standard link and photo posts. And again, here's this is video average, but this includes videos of events and debates and stuff like this. This is her launch video, which we see her natural network at that time was small, but reached 8,331 people in the surrounding area, which if you're trying to compare that with the cost of, say, sending a mailer or something to everybody, would cost thousands of dollars. Then finally, just to reinforce it, this is, again, Newtown from 2018. This is their best video versus their best photo. So the best photo got more likes, more shares, more comments, more total engagement, yet still the total organic reach was less than the video, which just shows that video is the preferred form of content from Facebook's algorithm. One of the things that we think is
We have a question.
Yep.
Does this hold true for shared photos as well?
So if I can clarify, the question is, you said shared videos don't get a lot of mileage. Is that the same thing for shared photos? Just plain photos?
I don't know, because to be honest, I've never done that. I've never shared a photo from somebody else's, like shared their photo post onto a campaign page. My advice, I guess the reason why I don't know the answer to that is because we wouldn't do it. We would repost the content as our own. So my assumption is yes, you would have the same negative effect on the distribution of that content as you would from, say, a shared video, because it's not your content, you're sharing it from somebody else's page. That said, if there's something very important, say like, something happens at the state level and a rep or a DTC or the state party shares something that's really important in photo format, and you think it's important that you share it while giving them credit or acknowledging that this came from them, do it. But just don't make sharing photos from other people's pages your standard practice. Because I would assume that one, yes, it's going to be hurt by the same principles that hurt shared video. And two, you want to, if you do want to post about that subject matter, make it your own post. Upload, either ask for the photos and post about it independently. I think it's really important that everybody have a streaming setup for their candidates. I'm using this exact same ring light right now. It also comes with a phone holder. I think that if I turn this off right now, people will see the importance on both doing videos and social media of having some decent lighting. Don't forget, now in our COVID environments, this is how people are going to engage with a candidate. And so you always want them looking their best. What's also really important is it comes with one of these. This is a little Bluetooth connector that works for both Android or iPhones, which enable a candidate to film a piece of content by themselves. So if we go back to our Facebook of Nick, I know for a fact Nick is using this, obviously, on his campaign, because I told him to. Let me share sound real quick. Let's see what he posted this morning.
No better time to start than. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody had a great week. As your next state representative, I'm hoping to give you some weekly updates on what's been happening at the Capitol, so no better time to start than the present. This week, the Judiciary Committee worked on some tweaks to the Police Accountability Bill. The House also voted on some executive and legislative nominations. And the legislature also worked on a very important bill that said the legislature will be involved in the conversations about how COVID relief money is spent that is being sent to the state of Connecticut. And so the legislature is reasserting its authority as a branch of government. I'm really happy to see that. The legislature needs to be a part of the process, and good job on the legislature. So hope to see some of you on the campaign trail over the next couple of weeks. Election Day is April 13th, and can't wait to see you out there. Let's win this thing.
Okay. So you can see from that, it's under a minute long, which we like because obviously that's essential for Instagram. He used one of these so that he has his phone on that tripod that we just saw on the previous page. He stood it up, clicks the start record button in his hand off camera. You can't even see it. What it avoids is anybody, individual candidate, having to fool around with their camera, getting one of these like, oh, we're recording now videos. It means that you don't have to edit the video afterwards. There's no complicated process of sending it to somebody else so they can, take out the beginning and the end. The candidate can start and stop the video as many times as they want until they get the take that is correct for them, and then immediately upload it. And you can see here that this was uploaded to Instagram and duplicated because the accounts are linked over to Facebook. So we hit both channels at the same time.
Andrew, is there a microphone that you recommend?
No, just use your phone mic on your camera. Or sorry, on your use the microphone on your phone, which is your camera now, because obviously people's phones are now all on once. I think that if anybody has a phone made after 2016, like I still was using an iPhone 6 up to like a year ago. Still great quality, both in terms of video and audio. So if anybody has a modern, even semi-modern smartphone, I don't think you need to invest in other equipment.
Andrew, how important are hashtags?
Hashtags. So I would consider hashtags part of metadata. Metadata is very important, especially when you get into Creator Studio. It gives the opportunity to do that in multiple ways. One, you can obviously fill in the title of every post, fill in the description, but then also tag your location and tag any individuals who might be in that. If you are, say, running a race in Westport and for municipal, and you got to talk to Jonathan Steinberg, the House rep for Westport. Tag him in the video, because now Facebook knows that anybody who engaged or is friends of his channel on Facebook or Instagram is more likely to get that content pushed to. I'd say include a couple in the tag section. Include a couple hashtags. For instance, for Nick, it's hashtag special election, hashtag Newtown, hashtag Monroe. I think he has a couple others that he's using currently. So yeah, I would say find, kind of like 3 or 4 standard ones that you just repeat on every single piece of content. Or obviously, if there's one that pertains to a specific event or piece of content you're doing, say Black Lives Matter, or mental health awareness, or any group that you're participating with, look for theirs and add that as well. But I think the actual most important thing when it comes to tagging is to tag location. Location and anybody who is in the video as well. Tagging location gives Facebook, a much better idea of whose newsfeed to push this into. For your scheduled posts that aren't video, one of the most important things that you can get used by far is Canva. It's a free digital design program that is browser-based and is super easy for anybody to use. Not only that, but they also have a full design school and series of videos that will teach you how to use it if you don't know how. What it basically enables you to do is take your logo and any of your other branding assets, bring them right into the program and create posts from templates in seconds. And this is a process that we used to do, manually in Photoshop and Illustrator, and take, people who have to be trained in these more complex programs, and it would take us a really long time. This has completely changed that process for us. It's free, but also I would say it's, if you want to buy the pro version for, an extra, I think it's like $10 a month or maybe $100 for the year, that's also worth it, but you don't have to. If we go to Canva real quick, just show an example. Log in. And say if I wanted to do an Instagram post. Obviously, Instagram posts are pre-formatted for 1:1 ratio square, but when you push them to Facebook, they look great there as well. And now you just have so many templates to choose from. So, there's, say something important happened and you have a picture of your candidate that you want to sub in here. So what we would do is I would open up my window real quick. So if I go into Nick Kapoor's drive, I can go to our asset library, branding and logo. I can take his logo out. Here, I'm just going to move it so I can drag it into the screen. And actually, I don't want that one. I want it in white. So I can put it down here. Put that over there. Obviously, change the information there. And I didn't mean to replace that photo. Again, I'm just dragging these across from a folders system that I have open. I'm going to grab a good picture of Nick from our best of folder. Faves, and let's put him. And so just like that, you can create a really nice post by dragging and dropping a couple assets with these pre-made templates. Fill in, whatever important happened, whatever information you want to put here, make sure this is correct. And you can then simply just click download. This is we have one premium image in this one. What's the premium image? Is it because we still have the other? So if you have used any of their assets, that they'll charge you. But to be honest, you can always just delete the premium assets from within the program. So somewhere in here, there is something that they're asking us to pay for. I don't remember how to look that up right now. But it's usually the picture. I have to make sure because I just swapped this one and their other picture still isn't behind it. But an essential program makes our job so much easier. Something that everybody should be using. And finally, I think it's really important that everybody knows about LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is now part of Microsoft. Most of your libraries in your individual towns will have a subscription to it, so it's free to access. And if there's any skill that you're looking to learn, whether it's a more in-depth training in terms of creating content for social media, or for graphic design, or press releases, or anything like that, this is a resource you can use that will have an in-depth course on it. I would say they're comparable but more approachable than to college level courses. Just a super resource again that everybody should use. I believe, and obviously we have our additional resources where you can see, setting up a Facebook page, Facebook in-depth training, Instagram Help Center, setting up a YouTube channel, YouTube Academy for creators, setting a Twitter account, etc. Awesome, guys. Does anybody have any questions?
Andrew, it's Eileen. Hi. Can you share that last additional resources screen?
Yeah, I'm actually going to put this in the drop folder. I can do that right now, actually. Do you guys all have access to that folder?
Don't know. Do we? Does the moderator know if we do?
I'm not seeing it.
Is it, when you say Dropbox, are you referring to the Google Drive or Dropbox, the actual program Dropbox?
Newtown DTC had a Dropbox, I believe, that I put my resources into that you guys have access to. But you know what? Let's just do this real quick.
Can you drop it in the chat?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy all these links and drop these into the chat right now. There's my chat box. There we go. Did that come through correctly? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to drop the other ones in there as well.
I have another question too.
Yeah, go for it.
I noticed many candidates are really using Instagram in a very different way with lots of text and lots of hashtags. Is that the way to go, or is that just them kind of getting their feet wet in this platform?
I think that for long-term and trying to build a following, using hashtags on Instagram is essential. I think what it does is the purpose of hashtags in terms of the broader Instagram, not just regionally for a campaign, is that people can search and be shown things of interest that people around the country are engaging with. So that whether you're in Seattle or somebody's in New York, if the conversation is happening about hashtag Black Lives Matter, somebody is more likely to be seeing that piece of content. It does not work the same way when trying to build a local audience that is congruent with your potential voters. Because obviously the purpose of hashtags is to get anybody who's interested in that subject matter. So use them. Don't get me wrong. It's not that you should exclude them, but the most important form of tagging is geographic by far, because that's where you're trying to build your audience. To be honest, if a campaign in Connecticut gets a couple impressions from a Black Lives Matter hashtag that are in Arizona or California, it's not a bad thing, but it's not really helping us achieve our goals. So I would say in generally hashtags are less important than the geographic and targeting other people's channels who are within the community. Another trick is that if you're ever uploading pictures from, say, before COVID, our bread and butter was farmers markets. Farmers markets, we would take pictures around at the candidate, different stalls with different people showing off products. We would tag every single small business. And the small businesses love that engagement. And it then opened up our content and posts to the followers of those small business channels, which are inherently people within our area of targeting.
Yeah, and I think my other piece of that question was these blocks of text. I've noticed it from candidates and I've noticed it from friends who've just started using Instagram for their nonprofits, like, almost practically a press release inside an Instagram post. And I'm just confused. Is that useful, or is that just somebody trying to use it? I don't know.
I'm not familiar with the medium or that technique. To be honest, it sounds to me a lot like what we do on YouTube, though. On YouTube, what we take a transcript of the entire video and post it in the description.
Okay.
And I think what it is, maybe possibly you're seeing Instagram switch from because people, especially in our area, are using Instagram as a replacement for Facebook. What they're trying to do is they're trying to reach the audience who no longer uses Facebook, but now is predominantly Instagram with the same type of content, that longer form content. It used to be that Instagram was image and video based only, no real text to go with it. And because of that, the content had a different time constraints associated with it. It was much faster to go through 40 Instagram posts than it is to go through 40 Facebook posts. And so probably it's probably a duplication in terms of making sure that message reaches people. Is it correct in saying that when you post an Instagram post like that, you'd have to click into it to read the entirety of it?
I click into it. I mean, it's all just sitting there underneath an image. But it demands, like, instead of 30 seconds, it demands more of a chunk of time.
But I'm saying when you're scrolling through it on your news feed, you're not going to see the entire block of text until you click into that individual piece of content.
I'm not talking, when you say news feed, I don't get that from Instagram. I'm just talking about seeing longer, more text heavy posts. That's it.
Okay, so let me just open up Instagram real quick. Let's take a look.
Like, if you look at Kristen Vahey, like she did a long one the other day, I think there's a lot they want to convey. And I'm just curious, is that the most effective way to convey it? And Instagram to me seems like such a quick medium.
Is. It's definitely a faster medium. And so this is, let's take a look. Let's take a look at Kristen's page.
Okay.
She really does a really good job. Okay, and so what I mean by newsfeed Instagram is I mean this. I mean the traditional scroll page of my home where I go through to see content.
Okay.
And so I guess my point of my question is that if they do have a longer body of text, right, you have to click that little more button, right?
Right.
Like,
Okay.
it's not just sitting there. So like what I think they're doing, so what they're giving the people the ability to do is if they do want to read more and they do want to see that content, you can always click in and it gives them a chance to engage more fully with the piece of content and maybe duplicate what they're also putting on Facebook within the same platform. And I don't think there's a problem with that at all. I think that's again, most people on Instagram aren't going to engage with it, but it gives the ability of the people who do want to read further into the subject matter, the ability to do so. So yeah, no, I don't think there's definitely no harm in it.
Okay.
And I think that if it's something you guys are prepared to, and again, it's probably also now with Creator Studio. So you say you've been seeing it recently. So we made the switch over to this new platform of Facebook and Instagram and Creator Studio in the last year or so. Now what it probably is people creating a post that's appropriate for both Facebook and Instagram at the same time. It's probably one of those scheduled posts I was talking about. And so it just pushes out that extra text into Instagram as well because they scheduled it for Facebook at the same time.
Got it. Do you have time for one more quick question?
Yeah, no, we have like another half an hour if you guys want to stick around.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a recent back and forth going on social media about some building going on in Fairfield next to the movie theater, proposed building and rezoning, and it's getting a lot of attention. Where do you stand on sites like that, like next door neighborhood for political candidates? Next door neighborhood. I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with that. Oh, okay. It's a local site. You invite your neighbors. There can be hundreds of people in one neighborhood. You can put a message out to your neighborhood saying, I'm looking for someone to cut my grass, or you can put it out to the whole town. And, sometimes there's tiny little things like I just saw a hawk go by, but recently, there's 100 people engaged in this planning and zoning meeting on Tuesday at 6:30 about increasing the height levels of buildings in town and about a planned, multi-use building, which are happening a lot in Fairfield. So I could see this becoming, there are no political candidates engaged in it, but there are civilians who seem pretty political. So I just wonder, where do candidates fit in with this, or do they stay away from that stuff?
What's the name of the site again? Is this Next Door?
Next Door
Yeah, it's
Neighborhood.
Next Door.
Or maybe it's just next door. I call it
I
next
think
door.
it's called Next Door.
Yeah, I remember checking this out about a year or two ago. I remember they sent mailers to everybody's house, giving them a registration code to see if they wanted to participate. It seems like a kind of like an I wonder if it's owned by them actually. It seems like kind of a local social patch play where it's restricted to within all the content is restricted to within one neighborhood. My understanding at the time when we looked into it was that they don't allow political content to be posted on there. They only allow individuals, so there's no pages. Obviously, it has to be registered to a specific individual. And I would say that goes by a case-by-case basis. If you ever have a niche platform that's within your district that needs attention, for instance, a lot of towns don't have local newspapers anymore. Newtown, on the other hand, has the Newtown Bee, which is incredibly popular and demands attention from those, any candidate running within its borders. Or Westport has a really popular local news site. I can't remember the exact name now, run by a local journalist for like the last 20 years, which is really good. And obviously, people like Jonathan Steinberg and Will Haskell and everybody pay attention and engage to be active on that platform, either with the the editor and in the comments section. I think you need to assess that by a case-by-case basis. There's just too many different possibilities of what may be popular and what isn't. It's interesting. In Westport, Instagram is by far the dominant platform. Facebook, it's Fairfield, it's like 50-50. Monroe, Facebook is the dominant platform and Instagram is almost untouched. So that's just variations within the major social media players. So I would say if you do find something like this in which it's getting a lot of attention, we're talking hundreds of local residents who seem to be politically active, definitely engage and participate in the conversation as an individual. And try to keep track of it, but that's down to the individual campaign. There's nowhere, unfortunately, where we can kind of get there's no cheat sheet for that.
Got it. Thanks.
And just to circle back about Andrew's folder in the DTC's drive, everybody should have gotten a link in your confirmation email when they registered. Andrew, is there anything in there that you haven't already posted?
No, I haven't dropped
here?
this analysis. I haven't dropped this. I'm going to drop the whole spreadsheet or the whole PowerPoint that we just watched in it, and I can do that
All
as
right,
soon
can
as
you put it in both places?
Where's the other place?
Here in the chat and also in the Google folder?
Oh, can I just upload the whole folder file to the chat?
I don't know.
I think so. You might be able to. I think you're right. Let's just do that.
Just in the event people didn't save their email or can't find the confirmation link.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have to go back and look for mine as well.
Right.
All right, let's go to Org Docs, Newtown Campaign Training 2021, social media. Let's see if I can just drop this right in here. No, it's not letting me do that. Let's try it like this. Here, you know what, you guys, I can do this real quick. I can just make this file shareable so that everybody can download it right now from this link.
That's great.
Campaign training. There we go. And share. Okay, so I just switched this to absolutely anybody can download this. So if you guys click here, everybody should be able to download that entire PowerPoint.
That's great. Thank you. Let me give everybody a minute or two to download everything they need. Are there any questions in the meantime?
Real quick, would we be able to share the PowerPoint with friends and people we work with? Because I know, like, obviously this is something you created, so, you know, showing out to the public is probably not something you want to just like have this thing get thrown around. But would we
No,
be able to share?
to be honest, share it with whoever you want. Just give me
Okay.
credit.
Okay.
Yeah. Not
That's
completely happy
Very
with that.
generous. That's really generous of you. Thank you for doing that.
No, I mean, I actually think that, so we update stuff on, if I can share my screen again.
Is this also in the DTC drive in case somebody needs to find it there?
I will, I don't have, I have to go search through my email to find that, but it will be 10 minutes after this ends.
Excellent. Thank you.
Also, if you go to 475's website, we also upload stuff that we think is going to be helpful for the year. So this still is 2020, but it's going to be updated for probably municipal campaigns soon this year, and for obviously 2022. It's our house deck, where we drop things like, oh, this is what we think a generic budget should look like. You see a lot of the same assets that were in here. I think we even go into, yeah, some of the appendix. We have some of the same data and stuff. So look on our website for decks like this, in which you can find other. Yeah, that's just 475consulting.com. I'll have it in here or in content operations dropdown.
Anybody have any more questions? This was so good, Andrew. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, guys.
No, it's excellent. Thank you. Well, yeah, I guess I have one question. So much is happening so fast with media. What do you see like one of the most important changes, or if there's one thing you could work on with a candidate, what would you emphasize?
Video.
Yeah, it sounds like that's videos essential.
There is another resource, actually. I'm glad you asked that question. There is another resource called Marco Polo. This is for candidates who are on, so a lot of candidates who didn't grow up doing Marco Polo app, not the original guy. Okay, so for a lot of candidates, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? Marco Polo is what they call a video walkie-talkie app. So for younger candidates, I would say, you know, my age, 34 and below, we're kind of used to doing the selfie style and engaging directly with video content just with our mobile devices. People older generally didn't grow up with that experience, so they're not as good at it, because to be honest, it's just a learned and practiced skill. And so if you're looking for a candidate to get better at creating video content or interacting with, you know, webcams and stuff like that, which, you know, as these COVID restrictions persist, is going to be continuing factor, especially for this election cycle. I would say have them download Marco Polo. It's a video walkie-talkie, which means that it gives them the ability to selfie style record a short video of themselves and send it to a small predetermined group of friends. So they don't have to practice getting good at making Instagram and Facebook videos with the entire world audience. You can be you and your campaign manager or your social media person, or just 2 or 3 of your friends, you know, or family members. You just want to practice getting in the habit of creating short video content. I have used this. I'm not going to let you know who, but with a number of my clients over the past 2 years to try to get them up and running and familiar with this skill set, which, to be honest, is not inherently, which is not intuitive.
Is there any way to be avoiding trolls?
No, and trolls are your best friend. Now, I say that with a caveat of, obviously, if anybody is ever posting anything threatening, violence, or racially abusive, then you can not only hide that content, but also possibly be reported if it needs to be. But if it is simply, you know, we get it all the time, Republicans, there's a couple people who we see repeatedly on a lot of regional campaigns. like, oh, just another tax and spend Democrat, or, they actually are your best friends, because what they are doing without realizing it is enhancing your engagement, so that Facebook and Instagram then push your content onto more people. I think one of the big important things with social media is to realize that you want the conversation happening in your real estate, your digital real estate. So on your channel, on your post, on your video, because the more engagement you get when those trolls or those conversations start happening, Facebook will then choose to push your content onto more individuals because of it. In the same vein, I would say don't post on your opponent's stuff. If your opponent has a position that you disagree with, don't post on theirs. Create your own post to address it. Also, when it comes to comments, I think it's important that everybody should remember to engage just as if it was a question you got at a supermarket. So for instance, a lot of times campaigns will get, questions. I think it's intuitive to respond to, and campaigns are going to get back to that. I think more than that, if somebody has like, thank you so much for doing this, at the very least, your campaign should be going through and clicking like, and or just a quick, oh, you're so welcome. Build out that comment section, build the engagement, so that, because the Facebook algorithm doesn't know whether it's positive or negative or who it's from, they just measure the quantity of engagement. And the more engagement you get on these posts, the farther it gets pushed. And we've seen that, with average outside reaches on video in the, high hundreds to thousands for even just, small municipal campaigns, these numbers add up. It's all about creating familiarity with your constituents, being a part of the conversation, and brand recognition within your geographic area. And this is how you're able to achieve that.
Great answer. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
No.
Shout out to Nick Kapoor's campaign. They're doing phone banks on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and they're doing canvassing on weekends. So, just another plug.
If you guys do want to, please feel free. Just scroll down here and click the volunteer button. Whether it's making phone calls or socially distant door knocking, we would love to have you. We believe, even though this is quite a conservative district, because of the benefits of absentee ballots, we believe we have the opportunity to flip a seat in a district which would otherwise be out of reach for us. Just to give you guys a little background, I believe he was a 3 or 4 term incumbent, maybe even 5. JP resigned unexpectedly about a month and a half ago, which means we have, obviously 2 newcomers running for this position. Actually 3, I take that back. Another aspect in our favor is that we have a 3rd independent candidate who is a registered Republican running as well. We were really hoping that he acts a little bit like a spoiler candidate, as was done so well in Easton in 2019 when we were able to put David Bindleglass in the first selectman seat. First time having a Democrat in that seat, and I think 40 years, right, Maggie? I'm going to say yes for Maggie. It's like, I think it's the last time.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
It's no, it's the first time in like 40 years that we had a Democratic first selectman and a Democratic majority on the Board of Selectmen. We had a Democratic first selectman in the early 2000s, I think, for 1 term.
For 1 term, but not the majority. Got you.
Yeah.
So, we were able to take both for the first time in a long time.
Amazing.
Awesome.
And the election's coming right up, right? The Nick Kapoor election?
April 13th.
Okay, got it.
Special elections are a crazy sprint to the finish, 46 days in total.
Got it.
Last call for any questions?
No, thank you so much. That was really, really helpful.
Yeah, Andrew, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys.
Thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, reach out to the DTC or to Andrew. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
All righty.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Have a great
Thanks,
afternoon.
everybody.
Thank you.